So Heather is not going to be here this evening, so I just asked Bethany if she would lead the meeting. So she is going to pitch it for us a little bit. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that we can look at the agenda.
All right, so do we really do a roll call?
I've written everyone down.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then it looks like there's nobody in the waiting room or anything, public.
Let's just, nope, just the four of us.
Okay, then we can move on to approval of minutes. Does anybody have anything you would like to change or talk about the minutes of last month? Or from February, sorry.
So I'm sorry, for some reason, this meeting did not record. So the recording wasn't available, so I had to try to figure out what happened, and Heather and I sort of put it together. So it's very general, but
The only thing I noticed was we had a tiny discussion about the LDAC committee formation.
okay,
I didn't.
okay.
But if we want to add that change,
Mhm.
do we have a motion to approve the minute?
Somebody needs to move it. Come on.
Can't be me.
I motion to approve the minutes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Thanks, Lynn. All right, we move on to new business, library use infographic.
Right. So let me make this smaller so we can see. So yes, we have our new infographic available, and made some leaps in some areas, and mostly stayed the same in some other areas. Was there anything on here you wanted to discuss or have questions about?
I have one question.
Mhm.
What's infographics exactly?
Well, infographic just means it's in a visual format.
Okay,
Yeah,
taking notes.
yeah. So we try to make it a little bit more appealing rather than just looking at charts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you remember what that ebook usage was in 23?
I know that we're going up in ebooks.
Yeah.
So this last month was the first month that we broke 4,000
Oh, wow.
checked out at Sandy.
Mhm.
And that doesn't include the Hoodland checkouts. So yeah, we're getting close to 5,000 a month now, which is amazing. You know, it's still a small amount compared to our physical checkouts, but we're getting close to probably 1/5.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
There's 4,000, then you got 20,000.
4,000 last month,
Mhm.
March.
But how does that compare with books, physical books?
So, but that's just for 1 month. I'm sorry, I didn't look at the number for how many books we checked out last month to compare it to. But if you look at the infographic here, you can see that in the last year, we checked out about 50,000 ebooks,
Okay,
and about 280,000 physical books.
okay,
So. Yeah,
okay, that's what I was curious. Thank you.
yeah. Any other?
Just seems amazing. Well done.
Thank you.
One question, if you can go back for a minute.
Yes.
Where did I just see it?
What were you looking at?
Go up a little bit. I've lost it. I've lost my question. Sorry. Because I can't scroll it myself, I can't find. Go back.
I can
Oh,
go
it was to
slower.
do with the events. It was to do with the events.
Okay.
The numbers, total programs.
Mhm.
Do you, do you mean attendees at total programs?
So this is the total program number, and then this is the total program attendance number.
So there were 809 programs in Sandy in 2024.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
That's a ton.
Yeah, it is, and we are continuing to grow them. I've got a group of staff who are very excited, and my publicity person is just like, hold on. Because it's a lot of, a lot of work to put together, and yeah.
Yeah.
So each 3 times a year, we send in our programs to the Parks and Recreation Guide. And that's when the big push is for her to get that all compilated together as people
Mhm.
enter their programming, and she has to, make sure they're all in the same format and everything
Mhm.
like that. And yeah. And then do all of the program flyers for the programs coming up in the upcoming month at the same time. So yeah, it's,
A lot.
we're making plans to get some extra sub help in the weeks that she's gonna be working on it in the future, because it's just, it was a lot.
Yeah.
But it's exciting.
Yeah.
Any more questions or comments?
I think the Library of Things section is so interesting.
Yeah, I
That
thought that
it's
too.
totally different things at
Yeah.
each site that are most popular.
Mhm. Although we just purchased 4 sewing machines for Sandy. Yeah, and we're gonna be working with the museum. The Historical Museum is gonna be teaching sewing classes. So there are students who don't have a machine, will be borrowing from the Library of Things, and we're super excited about that. So, well, maybe we'll see a sewing machine on Sandy's next year.
Are you able to like reserve those for those dates, like knowing that those are coming
So
up?
for the first class, we've decided to hold the machines back until we know how many students register who need a machine. So that they can make sure to get them. But after that, they're gonna have to go through regular process to try to get them if they're popular.
And how, with the Library of Things, how long are these things checked outable for?
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah. So depending on the length of the class, we may extend it, for, if it's like a 5-week class, we'll extend it for that 5 weeks, probably for them in the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah. Then we'll have to rely on renewals, and we'll figure it out. This is our first attempt to try to do something like this, where we're working with another organization and trying to make sure we both have what we need, and yeah.
So cool.
Is the sewing machine something that's requested here a lot?
We've had requests for it,
Okay.
yeah, and we've had a lot of people interested in sewing classes. When we were starting to do adult programming, people were like, what about sewing? We're like, yeah, we don't really have the ability to do that right now, but having the person from the museum teach the class, so we don't have to find a teacher and all of that,
Yeah.
it just makes it more difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to the most popular checkouts, are those hard copies or are they like audiobooks and ebooks and hard copies?
These are just hard copies. Unfortunately, we can't get the data that discrete in the ebooks to figure out which ebooks are the most popular. Yeah. Because most of our checkouts go through the state library, the online resources through the state library. So it's as a group, and then we have a few that we purchase extra. So I don't even know if on the ones that we purchase extra, if we can figure out how many times they've checked out, but yeah. And that would be district wide. So narrowing it down to Sandy and Hoodland patrons would be very, very difficult. Yeah. Yeah. So all of those resources are district wide. So yeah, this is just for physical books, unfortunately. Yeah.
It's very fascinating that the adult nonfiction is 2024 standard postage stamp.
Yeah. All right. I thought it was strange myself.
I was thinking it was some like like a book club book, but no, that's just a book.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Amazing. So cool.
So, yeah. And then I love the total value of the libraries. I don't know if you took a look at that.
Oh,
So, we did the service area population and then our number of users, at the end of the year. And so we've got the value per capita and then the value per user. So, but even the value per capita, the average home price in Clackamas County pays $95 for a library card. So even the per capita use is
Wow.
well under that. But value per user, $408 a year. is
Wonderful.
And then 3.7 million for Sandy and 652,000 for Headland. That's about 2 years of our budget for the library. So just thinking about that.
Mm.
So that's, yeah.
Do you know how these numbers compare? Can you see the other numbers for the other Link Library?
I don't, I've never done it. And not everyone creates something like this. So I'll have to see which libraries do and figure out.
I would just love to see where we stand because I feel like you guys do such a killer job. I can't imagine that anyone would be beating the numbers.
Mhm.
But I'm serious. The numbers that come
Yeah.
out of here, I mean, this place is hopping.
Yeah. Especially with our FTE. I feel like we've got 13.7 FTE.
Hmm.
And we'll look at that a little bit later because I'm going to show you the stakeholder packet that I've been working on for the stakeholder meeting for strategic planning. But doing this level of programming, 809 programs a year at Sandy and 126, was it at Headland? 128. If you think about 13 people doing all of those programs and still being able to check things out to people and being on the public desks and, yeah.
And the library's pristine every time you walk in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Cool. Good job, Sarah.
Thank you for compiling them.
Yeah. It's always fun to put it together, see it all in one place.
We want to move on to talk about strategic planning.
Yeah. So I don't know how many of you had a chance to look at this is the raw answers to the strategic planning questions. And I don't know if you got a chance to look, but were there any surprises for you in those or anything you noticed coming up over and over? So there is this word cloud feature that doesn't work very well, I don't feel like, but I did a word cloud for the first question just to get a feel for what the main words that came out of it were. So what do you value most about our community? Community, library, small town feel, people, Sandy, small town, friendly, safety, books, access, value, community events. Those are the biggest words on that. And I thought that was sort of a good shakedown of all of those answers.
Yeah.
I was noticing a lot of them, like people saying small community and like in community involvement, like,
Mhm.
I mean, after seeing how many events that the library put on, now I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and that's just the library, and Parks and Rec does a huge, and a lot of the top programs for the library are programs that we work with Parks and Rec on. The stocking stroll is put on by Parks and Rec and we participate. The tree lighting, the library put on for a number of years, but now Parks and Rec puts it on, but we participate still. Longest Day Parkway is also with Parks and Rec. So, Parks and Rec is doing a lot of programming as well and a lot of community events. So.
How do you decide between Parks and Rec and the library? How do you decide, like, are there things that overlap and how do you decide like who does what and?
I think it's mostly about who has the staff time to devote to it. Like we hold the makerspace at the community center, because we don't have a room for it, right? And a few community center staff in the beginning got like trained to back up, but we haven't had them back up. So it's just, I think it's based on who feels like they can fit it in more than anything. Which means that we do have overlap. But when something comes up, we generally will talk about it and be like the community center, the Parks and Rec used to do the teen egg hunt, and now the library has sort of taken that over. So events sort of go back and forth. Some things that Parks and Rec started with, the library has taken on. Some things that were elsewhere in the city that came to the library, Parks and Rec has taken on. So
Is it pretty collaborative? Like, hey, we cannot handle this year. Can you guys do it?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, like the volunteer appreciation event Parks and Rec used to do, but the library has the most volunteers in the city.
Yeah.
So we've taken it to try to do our part for
Sure.
the city. Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah.
Is that mostly for programs that you're doing the back and forth with?
Yeah. So here's the word cloud from the second question. What one thing would make our community better? It's harder to see what's coming out of this, a pool, obviously, parking, traffic, activities. I don't know where community came from, but library, I don't know. But it's sort of funny. I didn't download the word cloud for number 4. What one thing would make your life better? Because it was like, better was the biggest word, and nothing could really be pulled out of it. So this one wasn't as useful, I didn't feel like, for figuring out what was going on there, but let's look at number 3. How do you spend your time? Walking, hiking, reading, working, home, volunteering, gardening, travel, watching. So, yeah.
As far as the second question, I noticed a lot of people were saying restaurant.
That we
Everyone
need
wants to
more
be in
restaurant.
restaurants.
Yeah,
And then there was a couple that were asking about longer hours for the library.
yeah.
Would that be something that you guys would be potentially looking into?
We would have to have more staff that would be open longer hours. So we could shift hours around if people felt like we weren't open the hours that they really needed us. That would be the way that we would try to handle it so that we wouldn't have to, because staffing is about, the last time I looked, 75% of our costs in Sandy and over 80% of our costs in Hoodland are staffing. So it's, yeah, there's very little else to cut or to create more hours with more staff time. Yeah.
Maybe consider a day, like an early day or like a later night.
Mhm. Yeah. For a while, we were sort of daydreaming about having, there are systems that you can set up where people can come in before or after hours with like swipe a library card and come into the building to use self-service features. So we were especially considering that up in Hoodland because Hoodland has way fewer hours than Sandy does, right? I think they're at 38 hours right now. So and Sandy is at 55 maybe. But it would be very expensive so we were looking into it and we're like, yeah, we don't really have, unless we somehow got $2 million donation up in Hoodland, and then that would give us the ability to put that in so that we could offer that service. There is a library up in Yacolt, Washington, I believe, that has this setup that doesn't have any staff. Somebody goes there like a couple times a day to empty the book drop, check everything in, put holds on the hold shelf, and then leaves for the day. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And in some communities, it really works, especially small communities where people all know each other and they want to continue to have that service. They don't want anything to happen to it. So they'll sort of watch out for it, and be like, no, you can't come in with me. You need to have your library card and be approved and swipe it and, all those kinds of things if someone tries to go in with them. Yeah. Yeah.
Do we have a projection on how many books and audiobooks and ebooks that libraries plan on getting in 2025 potentially? Because I know somebody had said they would like more ebooks.
Mhm.
Wasn't sure if that was something that,
We are always trying to get more. We have increased our budget locally by about, it's only like 7%. But like 2 years ago, we increased it by, I think, 20%. So we're trying to get somewhere in the middle and get to the point where we're not constantly having to try to add another 20% because it's a significant amount for libraries. Our state resources hopefully won't be going anywhere, but it's hard to know with what's happening with the IMLS. We can talk about that a little bit later, but we would of course love to purchase more ebooks, but that means lessening our physical book collection monies. And our physical book collections are still checking out more than our ebook collections. So it's sort of a tightrope balancing act. Yeah.
Do you know how much I mean, what are the price comparables, like a physical book versus an ebook?
So I know e-audiobooks better than ebooks, and e-audiobooks are like $60 each. And yeah, you can, and most individual people can go into a store and buy or download an e-audiobook for $5 or $10, right? At the most. So $60 versus even like the books on CD that we purchase are about $25 each. So yeah, e-audiobooks are more than double. And ebooks, the problem also with ebooks and e-audiobooks is that depending on the publisher, you can, so there are very few that you can keep forever once you purchase them. So most publishers have something where you check them out 13 times and then you have to repurchase it. So, yeah, so it gets very expensive, especially if it's a popular book. Yeah.
And something like, so you're not quite sure on the price of those, but would it be comparable to like the price of an e-audiobook?
They're not quite as expensive as e-audiobooks. I don't think there's obviously not that much work in the production of an ebook, right? Compared to an e-audiobook where they have to get somebody to read it and it's often a famous person, so they have to pay them and then do all of the audio work to make it sound good. So I think that's why e-audiobooks are so expensive. I have no idea why ebooks are so expensive because they have to create basically an ebook in order to publish the book anyway, right? They already have it in digital format. So that's the one that's most frustrating to me. Yeah.
How many times do you get to check out the e-audiobooks?
So it depends on the publisher. Some of them are like the one that I said, that you can check them out 13 times and then you have to repurchase it.
What's the longer ones?
There are some that you can buy and keep forever,
Oh.
but they're very, very limited. Yeah. There are all kinds of articles out there about ebooks and e-audiobooks if you want to dive into a rabbit hole and read about them. And how libraries use them. And there's legislation in a number of states and things like that to try to limit the amount that publishers can charge for them. And because it's interesting because libraries in general get a deep discount on physical books from the publishers. And then the e-books and e-audiobooks are so much more than what the physical books cost. So, we get a 40% discount, say, on our hardcover books that we purchase. So, and then think about adding another 40% to a price of an ebook or e-audiobook to get it.
So it just becomes super inequitable for those who aren't able to read a physical book.
Yes.
That's kind of an expensive way to get the information out.
Yeah. Yeah. But there are lots of people who need to listen
Yeah.
or to read on a tablet where they can change the background of the thing or change the font to be, there are fonts that are better for people who have like dyslexia and reading problems, right? And all of those kinds of things that ebooks or e-audiobooks can do that the physical books just can't.
Yeah. My grandma could get her Kindle or whatever she had back then to have like 6 words per page so that she could see them.
Is that right?
But you need them really big. Yeah.
Yeah.
My grandpa was blind and that's all he did all day, every
Yeah.
day was just listen. And they were on cassettes and he would get them, 10 at a time from the library.
Yeah.
And they would send them all right back. And that's what he did for 20 years, is just listen to books.
Yeah.
The 5th question. Generated, good one.
Any other thoughts about the strategic planning survey results?
I was impressed at how many people
Yeah,
comments. Yeah.
yeah.
Most of them were thoughtful.
Yeah. Quite a few. They were funny. Yeah.
All right. And then since we last met, we had the staff strategic planning session with Darcy Hanning from the State Library. And so I have the results of all of their boards in here. Take a look at it. So Darcy did SOAR. So strengths, opportunities, aspirations and results. So this is the sheet that has the strengths on it. And so this was the outcome of, so the staff had Post-it notes and wrote down little answers on them and put them on the board. So this was the answers for the staff strengths. A lot of overlap, but anything interesting that you found in this?
I'm curious, what are the fiber arts?
The Fiber Arts Group is a group that meets in the libraries on the Tuesdays and Saturdays in the fireplace room. And they can be sewers, crochets, knitters, anything that has to do with fiber arts. And they hang out and do their little stuff and chat and have a great time. There's actually, I don't know if you probably saw it on your way in, there's a display from the Fiber Arts Club on the wall right now. As you walk into the library, there were socks and sweaters and quilts and all kinds of amazing things. So, and Kathy Drain did she helped us put that display up and did an amazing job. I love it. It's
Really good.
maybe one of the best displays we've had on that wall.
Did not see it.
You'll have to come back. Or maybe after the staff, what time is it? Yeah, the staff is gone. We could actually go into the library before we leave tonight and you could see it. Yeah, it's beautiful. And Teresa and Liz and Lynn, if you get a chance to come in and see it, you should.
Will do.
Any other thoughts or questions about these exercises with the staff? And then so the staff did their own little synopsis of just 4 of the strategic planning questions. So we can look at that and see. So question 1, they felt like the main things that came out of it were a small town welcoming feel, supportive services, internet walkable and safety, and surrounding nature trails and safety. So, and then question number 2, what could make our community better? Home security, safety issues, more indoor, more outdoor. And those are activities, obviously. Kindness and diversity and acceptance. And then how do you spend your time? Pets was a big one. Community, volunteer work, socializing, connecting, health and mental wellness. And then question number 4, what would make your life easier? financial security and improved cost of living, community resource, more hours at businesses, childcare, kids' activities, internet services, transportation, ease of access, road improvements, safety and security, and physical and mental health. And then, so we could start to think about using some of these words for our vision statement that the board is going to be working on creating at our next meeting, I believe. So, and so these were some of the vision pieces that came out of the staff one. So just we can consider these as we're thinking about it. But Darcy will lead us through that process to create that vision statement. But world, encouraging curiosity, give people power or empower them, build community, inspire, create, help them achieve their desires, customer-centric, change, positive, opportunities for everyone, sustainable, basic needs, and connection. So at our next meeting, we will be talking about creating the vision statement for the library. So we'll probably come up with sorry, I'm losing my words, the mission statement. We may come up with the mission statement as a staff first, or we could do the vision statement and then the staff can come up with the mission statement that falls within that vision. Either way, we can sort of do them in combination with one another. But I am going to stop sharing my screen so we can see the people who are on the green. Or maybe I wasn't sharing my screen. Was I sharing my screen, you guys?
Yes.
Okay. So I don't know why it's asking me if I want to share my screen instead of telling me. There's my stop sharing, sorry. Okay, now we can see your lovely faces. So, is there anything else you want to talk about the strategic planning? Or any questions you have about where we are so far in the process?
No.
We're about to have our stakeholder meeting next week. No, 2 weeks from now. So, and I can give you a quick overview of I loaded up and I shouldn't have stopped sharing my screen yet, although I love seeing your faces. Let's see here. I loaded up. So I've created a packet for the meeting, which will go out a week before the meeting. So this isn't finalized yet. So, but I've been working furiously at it. So there's a table of contents. So there's a letter from the director, me, the meeting agenda, the attendee list, general information about the libraries, history and present day library, timeline of events, library revenue and expenditures. And then I inserted the snapshots from 22, 23, and 24 for people to look at. Demographics for the Sandy service area, demographics for the Hoodland service area, an example of the library newsletter, a map of the Sandy library service area, a map of the Hoodland library service area, and the library organizational chart. So.
Can you remind us who this is going to? The stakeholder?
Yeah, so I think we've got somewhere around 20 people who have RSVP'd so far. And we're going to send out another email. I think some of my staff sent them out today and I'll be sending mine out tomorrow to remind people who haven't RSVP'd yet, to try to RSVP and come. So, but it has all kinds of people. A lot of them are library related. We've invited Bruce and he hasn't said if he's coming yet, but he may, I don't know if he's talked to you about it.
He was out of town.
Okay.
Because his brother had heart surgery back east. He got back yesterday and he has a terrible cold that he brought
Okay.
back from east. So he
Okay.
didn't want to expose anybody.
Yeah, yeah. So we've got the presidents of the Friends of the Library have been invited. The library network manager is coming. Let's see. Kathy Drain is coming as an emeritus staff and library board and library district advisory committee person. Heather has RSVP to say that she will come. Lynn and Teresa are coming to represent Hoodland. There are more, so there is a woman who's on the Timberline Ridge Fire Group. I wish I could remember her name. The Nicole Watts from the Hoodland Women's Club is coming. So we're trying to get enough Hoodland representatives and Sandy representatives. A few people from Mount Hood Hospice are coming. Sarah Eckert, she's a librarian, Sarah E. A librarian at Cedar Ridge, or library staff at Cedar Ridge, no?
Not Sarah Fleming.
Could be.
It's Sarah Fleming, yeah.
Okay.
She's based out of the high school, but she is on the staff.
Okay. So I have to send an email to Aaron Bayer and Garth again to ask one of them if they will come. They haven't responded to my email yet. So, yeah, so we've got some follow-ups to do, but we are trying to get as many different people in the community. There's somebody from Slice of Heaven Farm who's coming. Maureen today asked somebody from Clackamas County Bank. So we're just trying to get a wide variety of people.
When is it?
It is Wednesday, April 16th.
Did you invite the chairs of the CPOs?
We invited Janet Davis, who is the Bull Run Chair, and Rick Sward. Those were the only two. Oh, no, I think we invited more than that, but
Pat Erdinger, I think, is the chair of the Welch's CPO. I'm not
Okay.
sure who the chair of the rhododendron one is.
what is her name,
Pat
Lynn?
Erdinger. I can send you her email.
That would be great. Yes, we tried to gather as many different people as we could, so hoping to have a good variety of people.
Yeah.
Nicole O'Neill, who is the current museum, the person that, I don't know if she's the director of the museum.
director.
Yeah. She's coming. Yeah, so we're trying to get lots of people from the Rotary Club and the Kiwanis Club are coming.
Good.
Trying to get service organizations involved and yeah,
Is it okay if we come?
you could, but I need to know.
Okay.
Yeah, so Darcy was like, you could have 2 or 3 of your library board people. come."
You already have to.
Yeah, I've got more than 2, so I was like, yeah. Yeah, because she wants this to be about the community, basically. But we've got a lot of, I feel like almost too many people involved, really involved with the library, and I want to get more people from the community. Yeah,
Did you invite Chamber of Commerce?
I did. Yeah, Chris hasn't responded yet, but I'm gonna follow up with her tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah.
What day,
So-
April,
What was that?
the date of the meeting, April
Wednesday, April 16th,
15th,
16th.
16th. I'll pass the word on to,
Yeah, you can bug Bruce about that. Because he was invited. But, so, yeah, this packet is, so here is the agenda for the meeting, so you get an idea. I'm gonna be doing a presentation and I'll give you a very, very preview of the presentation because it's definitely not finished yet. Next, but she'll do the overview and she'll do SOAR with the community group. They'll bring out the topics from the community responses, which is what the staff did. So it's going to be very similar to the staff meeting. Vision concepts to give us for the board from the community. So we'll have the staff ones and then the community ones to think about as we're creating our vision statement. And then she'll introduce the service responses, which are the like early literacy or connect to the internet or all of the service possibilities that we could have. And the Public Library Association has distilled them down to 17 areas, I think, or yeah, so we'll introduce the service responses. And then they'll prioritize the service responses with like a dot exercise and brainstorm possible goals and then wrap up. So, oh, you know what? I do have the attendee list right here that I could have just pulled up so you could see who's coming. Sorry about that.
Sarah Emery is not librarian. She's the Todos Santos
Oh,
at Cedar Ridge.
oh, okay. I'll have to update that. Thank you.
Sarah,
Yes.
Sarah, I forgot to RSVP.
All right. I will make sure I add you to the list, Liz.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Teresa, would this be appropriate for someone from Mount Hood who need us?
Oh, that's a great question.
We- I think we did invite somebody.
Okay, great.
Yeah, but they haven't responded yet, but
I can connect with them too and give them a gentle reminder, Sarah.
perfect. Perfect.
And while I have you on on the call, Teresa, can I ask you to let them know that scholarship application time, I think the deadline's coming up pretty quick.
I will.
Thank you.
So this is our group so far.
And Sarah, I just sent you the email for the Hoodlands CPO. Pat Odinger is the chair, but the only email I have is for the organization.
Perfect. Yeah,
I think it's Erdenberger. Anyway, it
Okay.
doesn't matter.
so. So I've pulled together all kinds of documents. So this timeline of events was from when we had the anniversary of the city of Sandy, and it was during the pandemic, and we had buildings do displays inside their windows. So we did a history of the library that was visible from outside all of our windows. So this is part of the timeline for that.
And you're Mrs. Robert Johnsrud, JLN. Just have
Oh.
the spelling.
Uh-oh. Thank you. I'll fix that. But yeah, so we've got. It's pretty fun just to see when the first online Telnet catalog was. 1998. It seems like just yesterday, but. So, yeah, so that's the packet. And then this is a very, sorry, gotta try to move this out of the way. I don't know where the best spot for it is, but a very early version of, if I can, maybe I can't, there we go. So I'm going to talk about library services that we have. Library collections. Library programs. So here's the ongoing kids programs. Here's the ongoing teen programs. Here's the ongoing adult programs. It looks like we may not. Oh, no, that's not part of that. Okay. And then we've got annual programs that happen every year. And then some fun events that happened this last year. And then these are all the presentations that have happened at the library in the last year. So outside presenters. So all of the other programs are done basically by library staff or volunteers. So these are the only ones that have a presenter for the program. And then here is our organizational chart. So Tyler Deems, the city manager, is my direct report. I directly report to him and he directly reports to the city council. So we've got sort of, and then the library advisory board reports to the city council and we work together. So I tried to give a feel for that. I've got a circulation manager and 3 librarians, all who supervise various clerks, assistants, and shelvers. So. And that's a total of 13.7 FTE between all of those people.
What's HO and SA?
Hoodland and Sandy.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a shorthand that we use in the district. And I try not to use it very often, but unfortunately on something like this, there's not much space to be able to write it out longer, so. Yeah. And then we're gonna talk, so I'm gonna basically talk about all those programs and then we say we do all this with 13.7 FTE. And then talk about how we market our programs. And all of our library partners that we work with for different events and who help us out. Todos Juntos is one of those. They come and help us with story times. And they started a sensory story time at Sandy recently that has, it already has participants coming and it's wonderful. And then this slide, we need more ideas for, but where will we go from here? We're going to talk about getting the mobile library and what we plan to do with that. And I think that is the end of this presentation so far. So is there anything about the library that if you were coming to this strategic planning meeting and you didn't know as much about the library as you already do, that you would think that people would need to know?
Seems like you have a really comprehensive packet there.
I'm just hoping people have the opportunity to read it before they come.
Yeah, I think, Sarah, what I always hear is people are always so surprised by how much the library does. Like, I can't even think of all the things all the time. So I think just the way you've highlighted it will be hopefully really exciting to the attendees.
Yeah.
That you have.
Yeah.
It's very comprehensive.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, great. So old business, fundraising for our mobile library.
Yeah. So we have started our fundraising campaign. Last time we met, I think we had started the previous Monday, so we had only been doing it for 2 days. And our special, oh gosh, newsletter hadn't gone out and that was a nightmare. We had very bad technical issues. So I'm sorry if you got it 4 different times and none of the pieces worked every single time. So it was very frustrating. And we were super sad about it, but we started to get a few surveys in from that. And and we have started getting donations. So it's wonderful. So far, we haven't ramped up very much, I don't think, but we've gotten probably about $500 in donations, not including our starting amounts that we started with. So, at Sandy. And I haven't gotten a report from Hoodland yet, so I'm not sure how much in donations Hoodland has gotten, but hopefully by the next time we meet, I will have an update on that.
So how do you tell if you just donated through the email?
So there was a link for donate to Sandy and there was a link for donate to Hoodland.
I just had to donate.
What email did you donate from, Lynn?
I just did it today. And so I did it just on one of the newsletter ones that came out.
Okay.
I don't recall seeing a breakdown.
So I saw it come through today, Lynn, so you donated to Sandy.
Well, would you move that, please?
I can figure out, I don't know a way to do it, but I can try to figure it out.
Yeah. Just make a little asterisk note.
Yes, and we're trying to just keep them separate so that we
Yeah.
can see how much each library, you know, is able to fundraise and things like that. It'll give us a baseline for future things that we want to do and yeah. So also, we're planning to go to the Mountain Hood Farmers Market in Sandy and the Hoodland Farmers Market this summer. So starting in May, you will see the library at both markets. I'm gonna be getting my staff excited about going. And we'll have the QR code there for people who want to donate electronically. And then we'll also have like a jar there for people who just want to put money in it. We're gonna try to create a photo op. There's a Sasquatch cutout that we're gonna get from the Library Network office. And we're talking about getting like a wood cutout of a vehicle that's like a kid size, that it could look like the kid is the driver in the vehicle, maybe waving out the window. So we're trying to get the community, both communities very excited about it and talking about it regularly with people. So I had a staff meeting this last month where they were like, can we have a silent auction? And I'm like, does somebody want to lead it? You know, because they're, you know, and I said, most fundraising things are a lot of work upfront. And I think we'll get more opportunities if we just talk to people about it and get them excited about it and give them the opportunity to donate. But we'll see how well we do.
There are also there are 3 block parties over the course of the next year that happen in the Thriftway Plaza, if you like, behind it by Cooper's Wine Bar.
Oh, okay.
Which would be a great place to have a booth, sure.
Are those on like a Saturday, Lynn? Do you know what days they are?
Yes, they're on a Saturday. I'll find out and let you know. And
Okay.
I can tell you who to contact to.
Perfect.
set it up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if we have any other ideas, I would love to hear them. Where, you know, somebody was like, can we, because we give all of the cans and bottles that are in our entryway, Ant Farm comes and picks them up and we donate them to the Ant Farm. And somebody's like, can we use that money for ourselves? And I'm like, we could. Does somebody want to lead the effort? You know, and I'm just like, every time they're like, oh, because, you know, we're all, and I know my staff is super busy and that's why I'm like, I think our best bet is to really just talk to people when they come into the library and try to get them excited about it. But if the more outreach events that we can do into the community, I think that's great. I mean, we will be at the Longest Day Parkway and at Yappy Hour, and hopefully we'll be able to take our cutouts with us to both of those events and have the information about donating at both of those events. Those are big citywide events.
And the night out, the April or the August Sandy Night Out, what's that one called?
Or I think it's on the 16th
Of August?
run by D31.
Yeah.
That might be a good one.
Yeah.
Too, because it's theme oriented too, right? You know, you're out and about.
Yeah. Who was the person in charge of D31?
Amy and Faith.
Amy Hardesty. Yeah.
Any grant updates?
Any what?
Grant updates?
We have not had the opportunity to apply for a grant yet. But we've had the opportunity and we've decided to wait. There was a grant that was due at the middle of March. But you can also turn it in the middle of July. So we decided to wait because every time I went to an information session or talked to a person individually about it at the foundation, they talked about how they wanted to see financial community support, and they wanted to see how much money the Friends of the Library would be fundraising. And I feel like we don't quite have a start on that yet. But by July, we may have a significant amount in fundraising already under our belt and be able to show that the community is behind it. Yeah. So the State Library of Oregon generally has their grant process, their competitive grant process for LSTA funds, Library Service and Technology Act funds, which comes from through the IMLS, the Institute of Museum and Library Services. So they put that off until the fall, trying to figure out what is going to happen with funding. So I'm not sure if that grant is going to be available. I looked into a couple grants. One of them was a grant that you gave me, Lindy, and we don't qualify for it, unfortunately. So I think our first grant that we will apply for will be in July, if I'm not mistaken. So. Yeah, and so I'm unsure what's going to happen with the state library and with the Institute of Museum and Library Services. Everything is very touch and go right now as I don't know if you've heard, but all of the staff at the Institute of Museum and Library Services has been laid off. So they don't currently have any staff. So if there aren't staff there to negotiate contracts, then our state library doesn't have contracts to work with. So all of our ebooks and audiobooks could be problematic. All of the grant opportunities, there are more. I had a whole list of things. I can't think of any of them right now, of course, that the Institute of Museum and Library Services and the State Library helps fund for us. Our summer reading program, all of our artwork for the summer reading and things like that, the State Library funds for us. So it's, if all of that funding goes away, we are in trouble. And having to scramble to figure out how to offer services.
Is that federal?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think it's worth saying that the work that you've done through your listening program that you just walked us through in your annual report shows that the community really values the library, and that would be an incredible loss for our community. Really,
Yes.
honestly, bringing me to tears. Yeah.
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 Yes, so I will try to get information out as it becomes apparent. But it's a little scary right now.
Yeah, very.
So that's my staff update.
Sarah?
The people that are laid off were federal workers. And they were a go-between between the state and the federal, or?
Yes, the money that supports the Institute of Museum and Library Services, most of it goes to state libraries throughout all of the states. So the Institute of Museum and Library Services, if they were to shut down, every public library in every state is going to have problems because of it. Because that money that goes through, funnels through the state library helps all of us. It helps school librarians, it helps public librarians, and yeah.
That was again called the Human what?
What?
It was called Human
No, the Institute of Museum and Library Services.
Institute.
Yes. Or IMLS. So write to your senators, call your senators. Although in Oregon, I feel like our senators are already on board, so it's hard to think about doing those things. But if you have friends and family in other states, encourage them to contact their state legislatures as well, so.
Okay. Do we need to move to adjourn? Or do we just adjourn?
Either way.
We just adjourn? At 7:02.
All right.